Quay. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. It's just the channel of Quay. So you have vlogs, we have everything that's yet to come. I was sitting here and I did like a whole cute setup behind me to do photos for content. And I was like, let's just press play on a video because it's time for another reading of Apply Where Necessary. Mainly because we hit over 100 sales in Q1 by myself on my own platform, no Amazon, no Barnes & Noble. I know a lot of people, do more than that. For me, that's an accomplishment. That's a goal that I set in January when I first officially launched my book, January 15th, I believe, or January 13th is when the order came in. And I set a goal, like, let's do 100 Q1. And we did it, literally 11:57. I think I'm being a little modest. I think we're well over 100, like probably 110. But at 11:57, I had got my final order that made it to 100 in my head. So that's a blessing. And we're gonna get straight into this reading. We're gonna go with the introduction. I never read the introduction. I started with one of the short excerpts. So here we go. Please cancel out all the noise that you may hear. The phone is on the west facing of the window. So it's in New York. We got a lot of city noise and cars and stuff. Just focus on this book and this reading. Follow my voice. If you were special, you would have been born bulletproof. No one is exempt from failure, pain, happiness, or wealth. Lock in and make it happen for yourself. You are uniquely you, and it will happen if you allow. Surrender now. Sit in all of your stuff, the beautiful and the ugly. By the end of this book, you'll be ready to get up, and I promise you will walk differently. Understand that everything you are feeling right now is a result of all you have been through, leading you to the next phase you are heading towards. Surrender. You have fought what you know, fought what you have not wanted to learn or believe, and even fought to get to this very position, whether a big fight or small. You need to surrender right now and reflect on it all. Stop dwelling. Reflect on it. You are not wrong, nor are you right. You have simply been doing what you felt you needed to do. I relieve you of that duty today. Surrender to every version of yourself that you have been these past years and appreciate how far you have come, regardless of the situation. You may feel extremely happy with the current chapter of your life. You may be struggling with something or currently in your healing process. One thing we all have in common is we are alive and capable of changing our circumstances, no matter what they are. There have been times I have allowed myself to grind harder and reach a new level, while other times I distracted myself with other things and stayed on pause. You know what you have done. Now surrender and get ready to go even further. Happiness is an ongoing process. Change may take time, and self-love is a forever journey. It is your willingness for them that will get you where you desire. Once you understand that, you will not be so hard on yourself, because you were not born into the perfect standards you may have dreamed of that have diseased your mind for not reaching your ideal level of success at the rate you have. The ability to learn and take information, apply it to your life, and eventually recycle it to someone else is one of the greatest acts of self-love. What you put into your body, whether knowledge or nourishment, and allow around your body, says a great deal of your value of self. Do you love the reflection you see in the mirror? That was just page 1. We got into it, okay? Proceed. We are more powerful than we have allowed ourselves to be. And sometimes we give our power to the wrong people or things. As humans, we are blessed with the gifts of intuition and subconscious, as well as brain functionality, which allows us to decipher, decode, and decide on occurrences in life. So what if you did not make all the right decisions? Did you learn something in the process? Did you use what you learned or discovered to make better decisions towards your future? There are necessary decisions that, once applied, can bring you to a better state. What matters is what you do next with what you currently have circulating in your mental or at your fingertips. No one could do it for you. Aside from putting you on game, the rest has always been up to you. Always. It is what you've allowed. How did I get here? Quotes. You deserve much better than me, Quay. End quote. Consistent patterns, ignored red flags, and judged based on potential were the basis of my intimate relationships. We usually have information we need right before our eyes. However, some of us like to take the more challenging route just to prove the other side wrong. Sounds familiar? Whom are you really trying to convince? Sometimes we take what we know and throw it in the trash to conceive a new method to our own madness. That's how I got here. This book was formulated from heartbreak inflicted on myself in the early 20s through repetitive, pointless decisions. I gave my heart to grown boys who did not know what to do with it because the dreamer in me painted a version of them in my head that they were not and could not be. Every time I loved myself up and thought I was ready to invest my energy into another growing boy, I poured everything I had emotionally into the relationship and fought hard for him to fight for me. I caused my pain, opened and emptied myself. It was my fault. I dated based on potential. I dreamed up for these individuals and ignored everything that was presented in front of me. I finally decided I wanted to learn from my mistakes and build myself beyond any level of self-love I thought I reached in the past. I hope my book helps you dig deeper in the parts of you that you have buried. Light the fire inside of you. Shine a light on all the parts of you and inspire you to design and then live the life you deserve. I have included pages for you to reflect and grow beyond each affirmation. Do your part, and God will do the rest. You are loved. I began to affirm who I was becoming and where I intended to go. I have been on this journey ever since. What about before that, though? I've challenged myself to go back further to how I even got to the point above. I began to pull up my roots. I have identified where the most of my troubling patterns derive from and why I felt the need to exhaust myself with them every time I chose to do so. Let's go back a little further. I came into this world slightly earlier than they estimated. I kept coming in and out, nearly taking my mother's over the edge until she finally pushed with all her strength. I looked back and figured, damn, so I had this slightly indecisive tick to me while trying my hardest to stick to the plan. Our birth stories and our earliest years of coming into our personalities are some of the most important reflections that will lead us to understand how we come to and whom we have evolved to. You are able to identify and then unlearn where you see fit. Born in Portland, Oregon, to a mother, father, to join an older sister, and to be followed by 2 younger brothers. Let us say that my mother and father were their own versions of entrepreneurs, making do with whom they were and the skills they possessed throughout their lives. They also came from broken homes, and I watched my mother try her best not to make that our reality. However, that was not written for her story. We watched my mother carry and hold on to my father for years while trying to hold on to herself. She began to become weary from the eventual verbal and physical abuse. It was all good until it was not. I watched my father's confidence and drive for his own life deplete, and my mother picks him up and takes him back countless times. She did not realize she was diminishing herself. Over 5 additional years of this pattern and dysfunction, they finally split, but by then, I already learned the lessons they unconsciously taught us, and we each would eventually use it in our journeys leading up to this point, the point of trials, error, and unlearning. Aside from an unideal example of love, I learned valuable lessons early. Have many shared experiences with my family and stories that make me smile to this day. Overall, I love my early upbringing despite having to mature faster at the age of 11, earlier than I realized. After my parents split, no matter what went on in life, I have always been a big dreamer and foreseer of a bright future. As I grew to understand, I have the ability to lead my own life and become whom I desire to be. A fire ignited in me. Through my family and the inhabitants of my city, I've seen exactly whom I did not want to be and what levels I needed to surpass to get to my vision of success. I did not realize I would go through all of that I have and live the life I designed for myself through every decision the way that I have. Whew. There is so much more to be. The common denominator is every day I have fought to make it to the next, just as you have. Some of us at the subtlest ways, while others very much literally. I was 14 when I intentionally began to paint the vision of my life up to the age of 26. I said, I will live in New York, be married to the love of my life, own many shoes, have twin daughters, be a successful broadcast journalist. I set out to accomplish those goals, beginning with the first. I was accepted to Pace University in New York in 2012, and the day after my 18th birthday on August 29th, I embarked on my journey. As my mother drove me to PDX Airport, Jay-Z Empire State of Mind played on the radio, and I was filled with the fearlessness that I knew would take me far. Fast forward to right now. It marks 8 years in the big, gritty city I have called home, and I have much more to reach within my vision. I have maintained the first goal. However, I found out that I could not entirely control the timing for the marriage and kids. The fourth was replaced by year 4, and well, post-grad, and then a pandemic happened, so we are pressing reset on the mini shoes. The moral of the above is, some things are in your control and others are not. As you evolve, you learn what is then As you evolve, you learn what it is, then you begin to focus on making those your reality, while perhaps unconsciously growing your power. During the last 8 years, I said I would do many things that I in fact did, and realized I was affirming all this time. I have adjusted my style of affirming and put intent behind it. All the obstacles eventually taught me ways to affirm more effectively, with more confidence, and to never lose faith in the above. You determine how far you go by setting your intentions, being clear with your vision, and taking the proper actions towards it each and every day. It is not easy, and it is not hard. I have learned we have the ability to design our lives through the thoughts we entertain, the actions we take, and the depth of our goals. All that we need and desire already exists. We are experiencing now, and we will soon reach the ones we have yet to see manifest physically. Eventually, everything you need is in your thought, projection, reaction, and action. Apply where necessary. So that is the introduction of my beautiful, wonderful book. I love it. I love it. Every time I read it, it's just new. When you work on something and you just give it to the world and you just, you work it. That's what I've been doing. I haven't opened my book and read the introduction. I read the affirmations daily, but the introduction in a while. And just reading it just brought chills to me. My grandmother called me. I sent it to my mother, my father. We have a very distant relationship. Both of my grandparents and my grandfather. And my grandmother, both of them called me. And they were like, wow, it's so true. I'm so proud of you. I don't want to talk to you, but I want to get emotional. I'm waiting for my mother and my father to give me their feedback. I'm letting them sit with it. Because that little expose about their relationship and the lack of health within it, I know it kind of probably touched something in them. But it is what it is. It's the truth. And I believe in telling the truth. And I believe in living in my truth and just being surrounded by that. So this book was a release for me. And based on all the feedback I've been getting from this little baby, a lot of people have found value in it. And I'm just grateful to have been the one to compile it and share it with you. So if you want more of Apply Where Necessary, please go to quayseamster.com and order your copy, order one for a friend, or share the link and my website or this video with a friend. Maybe they find value in it. That's how things spread. That's how this book and many other things gain visibility, is word of mouth. There's nothing more powerful than that. So please don't guzzle all this beautiful affirmations to yourself. Share it with a friend. I'm gonna leave us off with one affirmation. We're gonna just choose a random one. Here we go. I am more than the things I possess. I am valued by my loved ones and peers. I am uplifted by the past and humbled by my current situation. Stop playing. Get your copy of Apply Where Necessary. I love you. I thank you. And I'm just praying for you literally every single day. Just have peace, maintain it, and share it with others. Stay golden. And make sure you go out and do. Just be a doer. Do everything that you said you need to do. Do that. Be a doer. You're going to hear so much more from me. More products, more things are coming.